Hey Facebook, I wanted to take a moment to have a very candid conversation. A conversation that I want to challenge all of us to think about having with ourselves. And that is, are we thinking in a way that we know is conducive to success? Or are we just sticking with the thought processes that we have developed through childhood because they are what was taught to us, even though we know that they're not conducive to success? But we just deal with them because it's easy to do it. It's not challenging. We don't have to challenge ourselves to change. We just are comfortable. We're very comfortable. And as many of you know, I went to a conference over Memorial Day weekend. The hold on, I'm about to say it right. Wrong. Build Your Own Brand, BYOB, Build Your Own Brand Retreat. And honestly, before I attended, I already knew a lot of things. You know how you know things, but it's not until you hear them multiple times before they start to resonate with you. And I have to say that is what happened to me at this conference this past weekend. Now, first of all, you know you are about your business if you utilize your holiday weekend time to go to a conference to better yourself. That is step number one in trying to break the cycle, if you will, right? Identifying that there is an issue that you need to solve, you need to figure out how to fix it, and then challenging yourself to do so. So I know a lot of people tell me, Victoria, I listen to podcasts that are motivational. I listen to Joel Osteen. I listen to, Tony Robbins, whatever it is that you do to motivate yourself, right? And, or I read this book. And I do this, and they ask me, well, what do you do, Victoria? You always stay so motivated. Like, how do you stay so motivated to do all these great things that you do and to make the choices that you make? Like, how do you make those choices? And it's so funny because I had to do self-reflection because I don't do any of that. Like, I don't listen to Joel Osteen. I don't have any desire to. I don't listen to Tony Robbins. I don't read a book about, bettering myself. I don't do those things. I'm just being 100% honest. What I do is I self-reflect. I look inside of myself and I look at those around me and I try to figure out, how can I better myself? What am I doing that is causing me self-destruction, right? And when I do change those behaviors and I get desired results, how can I continue that behavior? Like, I'm always doing self-reflection, and then I'm also looking around my environment to find out who's in my environment, what are they doing, and how am I benefiting from it, right? So there's a saying, and I'm horrible about knowing sayings, so please don't quote me. But there's a saying about your circle, like looking around your circle, and if you're the best person in your circle, if you're doing the best, then you're in the wrong circle, right? That's what they say. And I hold that to be true, and I hold each one of you to think about that when you're looking at your circle. Like, it makes you feel good because you're on top. Like, you've got to challenge yourself. Look at your circle. So I'm saying all that to say that I found out that that's what inspires me. What inspires me is to see people in my circle doing great. Like, I love it. It makes me want to challenge myself. When I went to this retreat, Build Your Own Brand Retreat this past weekend, I was so inspired. Like, there were people who I came in contact with that are doing great things, doing wonderful things. And not only are they doing great and wonderful things for themselves, but they're also touching others, and they're making that bread. You hear me? I'm talking about bread in the process. And that's what it's all about. We've got to figure out what things we've been taught. Like, I'm going to be 100% real. For those of you who are from Indiana and you're watching this, if you grew up with me, you already know. In Fort Wayne, it is our thought process, correct me if I am wrong, but it is our thought process to grind hard, go to school, graduate from high school, get you a job at the local factory, make your little $14 an hour, and you are doing it big. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's big. And for me, something about that narrative just didn't make sense to me. Like, my mom had a job at a factory. As a matter of fact, she had a job at about 2 to 3 at a time, like 2 factories, and let it be the holiday. Well, then she got a job at a 3rd factory, making holiday candy or whatever it was. Maybe GM needed extra parts because they knew they were moving units on cars. So, and I never hardly seen her. And I couldn't get the new shoes like everybody else. And I couldn't get the new clothes. I got the hand-me-downs. Like, to me, when I stepped back as an adult and I looked at that, I was like, something about this ain't right. Like, this whole concept of graduating high school and getting you a factory job so that you can make double digits income hourly, that don't look right. Because although my mama did that, the results from it wasn't on point. Like, I still struggled. I still suffered. I hardly seen her. That didn't work well with me. So I'm asking you to look within yourself and think about the narratives that you've been taught, and think about the things that you're comfortable with, and ask yourself, do they make sense? Like, in the big picture, in the grand scheme of things, do they make sense? And if they don't, then I challenge you to ask yourself, well, what can I do to change that? What can I do to change that narrative, not only for myself, but for my kids and for future generations, Because, I'm sorry, but after Victoria Randall, what I went through as a child will never happen again if I got anything to do with it. And it's not my mother's fault that I went through what I went through completely, not in entirety. But we do have to take responsibility for our actions. And so if our actions mean that we rely on a man to take care of us, or if our actions mean that we use people for what we can get out of them just to make it to the next day, whatever our actions are, we have to deal with the result of those actions. Neither one of those are giving you any type of longevity. What type of longevity are you gaining off of that? I don't see it. I haven't seen it. If you can show me it, I'm looking, I'm watching. So, the moral of this live is, honestly, I just wanted to share my testimony. Wanted to share, my testimony, if you will, about how I stay motivated, how I question my narrative, how I question what it is that I've experienced and things that I've been through, to help enlighten me to make better choices in my future. Thank you so much, guys, for the thumbs up. And tell me, are you doing that? Like, and if you do that, how do you question yourself? Because sometimes it's hard to question yourself when you don't know anything different. Like, had I never moved to Atlanta, I would have never known anything different than Fort Wayne. I'm just being real. I'd have never known anything different. Who knows where I would be today? I'm scared to know where I would be today if I were still in Fort Wayne. I'm just going to be 100% honest. And that's nothing negative towards Fort Wayne. That's just me saying that was my experience there. And what happened to me while I was there. And the only way for me to grow as a person was to get out of there. But that's also a state of mind. It's not the city. It's a state of mind. So where are you at mentally in your mind? What did you see while growing up that you continue to perpetuate, that you continue to do just because it's comfortable, just because it's something that you're used to? Are you ever stopping and questioning yourself, is this the right thing to do? Is there a better way? I guarantee you there is. There is definitely a better way. There's a better way. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore, and I've made my mind up a long time ago. Matter of fact, when I quit my 9 to 5, I made my mind up. I am going to set up an empire for my family. I am going to become the first millionaire in my family. Mark my words and believe I said that. Now, I don't care. It might not happen till I'm 55. It might happen next year. I don't know. But I guarantee you that I'm never going to give up, and I'm going to make sure that it happens, because my family, my daughters and their sons and their sons and their daughters are going to be set. I'm going to make sure of it. Not only am I going to make sure that we become millionaires, I'm going to make sure that we understand how to use that money in the best way possible. You know what I mean? It's not all about the money. It's about how are you using the money? What are you doing for yourself? What are you doing for your people? What are you doing to grow? And I guarantee you, the mind frame that I know I grew up learning and that I grew up understanding was not perpetuating any of that. Not perpetuating not 1% of that. So I'm gonna jump off of here. If you're just tuning in with me, hey, thanks for tuning in. The whole moral of the story was basically, growing up, what are you seeing that you continue to do? Like, I really want you to question yourself. As a child, this is what I saw. I know it ain't right, but I keep doing it anyway. I want you to ask yourself, what are those things? And why are you still doing them? Why? They say, again, I'm not good with sayings, but they say insane is doing something over and over and getting the same result, which is usually a negative one. That's the definition, if you will, of insanity. I can't be insane anymore. I'm sorry. I can't. And I want to challenge you to do the same. I want to challenge you to think differently. One of the ladies at the Build Your Own Brand conference, she said something that resonated with me, and it was so true. She was like, challenge yourself, even if it's something little. Let me give you an example. When you leave out of your home to go to work, let's say every day you go right. Every now and then I want you to go left. Go left. Rewire your brain. Make yourself figure out a way to get to work by going right instead of left, and see. Like, I know it sounds small and minute, but it does. It keeps your brain fresh. It keeps you thinking. It keeps you trying to figure out different ways to do things. I'm constantly trying to figure out a different way to do something, another way to make something better. There's a million people out there, I'm sure, who look to, I'm not going to say a million, but there's a nice handful of people that look to help other people start CNA schools. I know that. But what can I do differently in my business? What can I do to add value? What can I do to make someone else better? And I tell you what it's going to be. It's going to be going above and beyond what anybody else would ever do for them. I understand what it takes to start a CNA school. So guess what? I'm going to give you everything that it takes. Thank you. I'm going to give you everything it takes. I am going to provide a complete, comprehensive approach to starting a CNA school, something that nobody else is doing. Yes, is my price going to be higher because of it? It is. But guess what? I'm helping you build a business. I'm looking at it from a different approach. I don't just want $1 from you to give you what you think you want and send you on your way. No, that's not what I came to do. What I came to do is identify what you think you need, look deeper to see what I know you need, and then give it all to you. I'm taking a different approach. I'm thinking differently. It's not all about $1 to me. It's about being successful, not just for myself, but for other people. What are you doing to think differently, to think outside the box? It's nothing disrespectful to your parents. It's nothing disrespectful to your grandma, your mama, your daddy, none of that. It's just saying this is what you did and this is the result you got. This is what I'm going to do, and I hope this is the result I'm going to get. And if I don't get that result, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to alter it until I do. Period. That's what winners do. So I'm gonna step off. Thank you so much for tuning in. If anything I said resonated with you, hit the heart button, say amen, whatever you want to do. I don't want to just rant and talk. I want to touch. And I hope that I've touched you and helped you think a little differently about some things. You guys have a beautiful day and stay inspired. Find ways, find things to do that inspire you. Okay? Find things that you can do to inspire you. It may look very different than others, but as long as it inspires you, that's all that matters.